third section is a little more complicated because we're going to do all 8 of the basic moves in the form. So we start here, and then there's a circle step for twist the joint, step forward again, the knee comes up for elbow, shoulder, central equilibrium, back. And this, finally, we have these big steps backwards that everybody does, at least in push hands. But notice they're at the very end of the third section of the 13 postures. And they're just big steps. Big steps. That's what everybody does in push hands. But before that, right, we have step in. The first half is step in. And there's that circle step. Again, this time using the rear leg, but we're stepping into the opponent's space. That's why we're not just stepping straight forward, because there's a foot right there. This is my opponent's foot. So I'm going to step here, go in and out. So again, my leg is against my opponent's leg, and it's another way of attacking that leg just through the step. So circle step, and then that turn. Notice here again, it's that same idea, right? I'm here and I turn. So it's another way of deflecting, and it's part of this idea of like turning. But we can also turn to the inside, is another way of deflecting. If I'm being pushed here, I turn by shifting forward, then elbow. And here we have, again, that knee going up, and then elbow strike. In this case, it's always better to think of what's going to be the most useful in terms of teaching, as opposed to what's going to be the best application, right? So if I'm here, right, I've done a deflection, my knee comes up, I'm going to step, and then elbow. For me, this is elbow strike, but done with the knee, right? It's not a knee strike, it's I've turned and I bring my knee up and you fall onto my knee, or you fall onto my elbow, depending on which one. But the important part here is that, again, we have this turn, right? This escape, and it starts in the feet. It's not the hands brushing, it's the foot. And I'm turning the body in the same way that we were doing before. Here I turn, I turn side step, right? Turn side step. We're turning the body, staying in the space. Boom. Right? I'm being pushed, I turn this way. Again, we're turning from the feet and the hips. So that reinforces our second point, which is the turn. We find it here again in the third section of the 13 postures. So shoulder, boom. And then, so we continue, and then we do a simple step back into ward off. And notice this is as simple as it gets. You're just simply shifting the weight back. Big circle step for roll back. Big circle step. And now we're back to moving forward. So we've only taken really 2 steps backwards. And that's it in the whole thing, right? There's the simple step back and the circle step for roll back, right? And that's it. That's the only time we step backwards. So in our push hands studies, stepping backwards should actually be one of the last things that we learn, the last things that we do. It's, in a way, this the easiest skill of just kind of rolling. It's an important one, it's an important skill, but it's the easiest one of stepping back. The rest of the time, the rest of the 13 postures, we don't step back. We step forward, or we sidestep, but we don't go backwards. So that tells you that the form itself, the applications, and the way that Tai Chi should be done is actually, it's very much forward. It's getting into somebody's space, right? And that's just by looking at the stepping in the 13 postures that you can deduct that. So the thought now is taking that information and looking at push hands and how we can apply that, which we'll do later. But that's just looking at the 13 postures. We can see some of the qualities and some of the skills that we're supposed to learn by doing Tai Chi, right? So moving into the opponent's space, right? Forward and back, but we're always shifting, we're always in your opponent's space. The sidestepping, right? So it comes from the feet, And we're turning around the power that's being sent to us. Around the push, around the strike, we turn around it by moving the feet. Turn here, step forward, right? So you turn, step forward, or you turn forward and step in. But whatever you're doing, you're rotating, right? So you're turning, and it starts with the feet, and you turn around the push. And the third thing is the legs are alive and are actually part of the attack. We're not just standing on our legs, we're using the leg, we're using the foot, pick up, shift, find the foot. We're doing all these things to disturb our opponent, so then the push can be as gentle or as easy as possible. I don't have to rely on my arms to throw somebody off balance. I'm going to get them off balance first with my feet, and then it's an easy push, right? So those are some of the skills that we're going to want to develop throughout our Tai Chi form.